super dry where I live. So
you live in a dry dog.
Yeah, so you have to be cautious.
Yeah, I bet.
It's very
How's the humidifiers going?
I haven't been running them recently. Well, I've
Really?
been gone a lot.
What about your guitars?
I got them. I keep them in cases the entire time with the humidifier thing in the hole.
Okay,
So they're in good shape.
that's good.
But it works great. What was interesting was that I think it boosted my power bill up a lot. I was letting it run 24.
Yeah.
And
Well, you had that one in your living
and it's got a
room.
couple amps. Like this thing's like.
You had that thing in your living room running.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a big space. Like, I thought you were just going to put it in the guest room and just have, like, a kind of a... You should put, like, wood on the walls and, like, have, like, an acoustic room in there.
Well, I don't own the place, or I'd start fucking with it. But
Well, you already put that blue mop on the wall.
I put a giant carpet on the wall for sound deadening, and I never took it down. There's about 300 nails in there. And Scotty asked me about the mirror last night.
Did he?
He said, "How's that mirror?" And I said, "It's going nowhere." Tell people what happened.
Oh, this guy. First of all, he wants to put up this mirror, and it must weigh like anywhere from like 80 to like 120 pounds. Like, this thing is,
and that's not an exaggeration.
it's
It
a
weighs
heavy,
at least
it's a
70 to
heavy
80
ass
pounds.
mirror, and I'm like, he wants to put it in the house where he's renting, and I'm like, I don't even know if the wall can support this weight. Like, this is not a super chill mirror.
Right, it has a wood frame on it.
So I'm like, why don't you just get a different mirror? And he's like, no, I bought this mirror.
Well, I got a good deal.
He got
And it looks good.
it looks fine.
I could have got another one, but it's like I just already paid for this.
He already paid like $5 for this mirror. Whatever.
I feel like the weight
it was
determines the quality.
like if the wood
So-
it's been soaked in carbonite, like lead.
Well, like
there's like
like
lead
Like
streamers.
think of a bed frame, like when a bed frame from IKEA.
I don't know why the mirror has to
You
be
could
sturdy.
Throw a bed frame across the room, but
Are
if it was immovable,
are
you'd
you-
be like, "That's a quality bed frame."
Are you gonna like test the mirror's quality at some point?
It's official.
It's officially on your wall because you had to put like
Yeah.
8,000 nails through the
So
wall to
we
get it to stay.
Drilled it into the studs, and there were a lot of screws.
There was a
Like
whole
16 drywall.
there was
screws.
there was a whole procedure where
Yeah.
you were trying to find the studs, and then you
Failed.
were screwing everything everywhere. Like,
Didn't we at one point screw it into the drywall and it pulled out a little bit?
yeah. Well, first of all, you put like 8 screws in the wrong position, and then you decided that you were going to screw it in through the border, so there's like eight holes behind the mirror.
Yeah, there's
Into the wall.
bonus holes in the drywall
in the
that
wall.
are not being used.
Yeah, like there's so many holes in that thing, and Scotty, I don't know where he was because he seemed to come in on the tail end. He must have just arrived because we were talking about this mirror. Yeah, he showed up. That's
he
what
walked
happened.
in, and then
He walked in, and
called
you
him
were
out.
like, well, let's put this up.
Well,
and,
we were gonna go somewhere, I think, and we wanted to do it before we left.
and I was like, I don't want any part of this
But
insanity.
you didn't do shit.
I was
You were
I
just
was
a-
boycotting.
You were on the
this-
couch.
No, I was over by the painting. Remember? That's when I was starting that painting I was doing.
You were a few different places.
And you guys, Scotty's like, oh yeah, let me just be helpful and fix this, help Matt to put up this mirror. And I'm like, nah, dude, don't put this fucking mirror out, dude.
It looks good though.
And-
we got it up.
And you must have screwed 16 drywall screws in the perimeter of.
Yeah.
You screwed like every part of the wood down just to keep the damn mirror up. And at any moment, if there's an earthquake, that thing's gonna go through the floor.
It's got a lead curtain on it. It's heavy.
Like, it's just gonna, the whole drywall is just gonna rip off the wall and fall down.
I know. It could be great. The shower will be behind it. You can work on the pipes after that.
So yeah, I was just like, why? Why did you? First of all, you bought the mirror, and then what did you not pick it up when you bought it? You were like, oh yeah, this thing's.
I don't know, dude. I just fire shit. Like, it was heavy, and I just threw it in the truck. I bought a fish tank at the time, so I had other shit on my mind.
How are the fish?
Great. There's been no mortality or death.
Yeah, no mortality.
Well, that's how you say it. So, yeah, there's no death.
No death
for a while.
Okay.
I got people feeding them when I'm out of town.
Those are some cool people. So you recently totally blew off going to see your neighbor up north.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. You're like, we're gonna be friends, and then she's like, oh yeah, come see me, and you're like, you were like really going to do it, and then at the last minute you're like, you were like, I don't want to do that.
That's what happened. I started doing shit I wanted to do.
Right.
I made a decision.
I'm not opposed to that. I just
well, I kind of started it up and then I shut it down.
Yeah.
There was like a 24 hours of false hope that I manifested for her. And then
but other people went.
Oh yeah, she already had friends visiting. It wasn't like I'm coming up, we're going to have a weekend together.
Okay.
It was like such and such posse is rolling up and I'm going to join.
See, was it started like that? Were you
I'm
first?
glad I didn't go. I was never first. Because what happened was it was kind of lame. Like, I guess
what did you think was going to
happen? The shooter and they went to a concert and they worked the concert so they get in for free and then they did a concert thing.
Okay.
But Kim, my neighbor, she did not participate and she has like these new mountain friends.
Are you talking about Lurch?
No, she's not involved.
Who's Liz?
Lesbo is what I was saying.
Okay, Liz, yeah.
So, she has these new friends. Yeah. And I guess they're like, I could see in the background of a photo. They're very plain Jane. They're very like
granola people.
They're just the people that are slightly above a dead horse. So
they're rock climbers.
Exactly. so they have like zero things to offer a social conversation
or any kind of setting.
So like that's her crew, and they were like plugged into each other like all weekend, and I didn't need to be a part of that. So,
have you talked to your neighbor since?
We've texted here and there.
What?
Just nothing. Like no hard feelings. It's all good. Nothing, just I miss you or something weird. Like,
okay.
What's your problem or whatever? I don't know. Nothing's really transpired. She's got a new life.
Yeah.
So it's
a new dawn, a new life.
Right.
Well, she lives up north.
She's way up north.
Yeah, she's like past Tahoe.
It's called Portola. It's a small town.
It's a small town. That's a real small town.
That's a real deal. Like that's a loony.
Does she like what she does now?
Yeah, she's real happy with it.
That's good. She was teaching the Indians, the Native Americans.
Yeah, Native Indians. They.
I wonder what Indians think of this whole predicament about Native
like
Americans
people from India.
Yeah, what do they think?
Well, they're probably.
Do we call them Indians?
Well, they are.
What if there was a room full of Native Americans and Indians?
What would you do?
What would you say to them?
You would not call them by their race, I think.
Really?
Well, you would say like the tribe.
So, like, if I was like, so, are you guys Indians?
You would,
or are you?
Is this a Q&A or like you're calling them up for like?
Yeah, like you were calling them up. Like it's like a race war. And we're trying to say who they are.
So, representing the country of India are the Indians.
Yeah.
And then representing various places in the U.S.
What if we mistakenly put like a Native American with a bow and arrow as like their symbol? Like
that
we're like
representing
the Indians.
That would be a racist as hell. Or a mistake. One of the two.
It wouldn't be racist. It would just be.
It would be wrong.
I don't know.
It
would be a mistake.
But what if like if somebody called us Russia or something? Like it's.
Well, it would be funny because it would be what we called the Indians, but they are the Indians.
Well, I understand why it's interesting, but
Yeah.
I don't know why if it's that good.
I don't know if we should call them Indians or we should call the Native Americans Indians.
Well, you just refer to the tribe.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it'd be like
Navajo.
Like you don't call the Incans Mexicans or something. Like it doesn't make sense. Right. It's like they were
there before we called it Mexico.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. But we still call them Indians.
Right.
We can't get that out of our
I don't know
history.
what happened. It's just stuck. It's like their nickname.
Well, anyone that was here was an Indian.
Right.
So that's like, in everyone's family, that's what they called them.
Right.
Like, and it just never...
Every European called a Native American an Indian. Like, every time.
Yeah, so you hear about the Indians over there.
Yeah, like, there was a lot...
English, we were speaking an English accent. They have Indians and, like...
Yeah, like, there was a lot of... So, it would just be a very... I just wonder what Indians think when they like hear, oh, this is a movie about the Indians and the cowboys.
I don't know. It's probably they just gotten used to it.
Yeah.
And, they're just those silly Americans.
Like
they thought they were here and they were not. They were calling everything India, Caribbean islands and. Everything was India. Fucking Christopher Columbus.
We really
got
drunk. Excited.
Yeah,
we got so excited.
We were trying to find this trade route,
a
faster way.
We got so excited about
a complete wrong way.
Calling everything India.
Everything was in. If you look at the map back then, it's just everything's India. There's a West.
Everything that's not Europe is India.
It's like West India, East India, South India.
Yeah, like South America was Southern India.
They should have kept it the West Indies at least. That would have been kind of cool.
What's it called now?
Now it's a bunch of separate countries and territories. Like the islands out there, like Dominican Republic and all that.
Yeah.
Like he hit this string of islands. He said, these are the West Indies.
Yeah.
He just hit some kind of big rock and he got excited.
Like, dude, they really wanted to go to India.
Yeah, that was the whole goal.
They were dead set.
They said, we need to get some more spices and tea and shit. Like, that shit's good.
I don't know what was so great about going to India.
Feels like India in this fucking studio bedroom here. Woo!
It's a hot dog.
Yeah. So that's an interesting concept to think about.
Right. I just like the idea of the mismatch of identities.
The Micmac Indians.
The Micmac.
Excuse me. Well, we're never gonna stop. It's forever ingrained.
Right.
We're still.
I also like the African American label because do you call them African Canadians and then like African Germans like.
I guess.
Like, we're African Mexicans. Like, we just say the word Africa and then the country.
Well, that's the Oregon.
So, if you're originally, like, not even now, if you're a darker complexion, you're, dark-skinned, black, or whatever, and then you're forever going to be titled African and then the country.
Well, because that's the original.
African... Canadian, African, Mexican, African, Guatemalan.
The reason I never picked up is because they weren't, in high densities in other countries. They were sent to the South to do a thing.
Really? What was that thing?
Yeah. Work. Yeah.
What were they sent to Jamaica to do?
Other things. Work. Yeah.
What were they doing in Jamaica?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Jamaica. How come there's so many Africans in Jamaica? Like more so than like the Dominican Republic.
They just had more
or even Cuba.
Slaves there.
That was the slave hold?
I think
Jamaica.
Well, I think so.
Like they went to all the islands in the West Indies and like, this is it.
No. Well, there's other cultures, like different places, like Haiti. It's very dark.
Yeah.
But it's not like as much African blood.
Right.
And then the Dominicans are much more light-skinned on average.
Right.
So, you know, it was
But something
a
about
mix,
Jamaica.
a mix of things. Well, there's obviously some history that we're not privy on.
Right.
About why there were so many slaves in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And then later they would write some great songs about being slaves.
Yeah. Like
and
Bob
white
Marley.
people would love it.
On the West Coast.
Yeah.
White people in California would love it if you were from Jamaica.
Just like we were all stoned, and I can relate.
You're like, I can totally relate to being dragged from a different continent.
Somehow it makes all white people feel like they're related to African Americans or just Africans.
The plight of Africa.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very
We were all mental slaves after all.
mental slave.
So that's the commonality.
Yeah.
But now I don't really know. I remember the history of how that all shook out.
Right.
And
There's this. Well, we were just talking about the West Indies, and there's so much diversity among that.
There's a lot of different bloodlines crossing in that area.
Bloodlines. Yeah.
You know, I mean, the Brazilians.
Well, that's
they're
that's a whole thing over there.
So.
Well, there was a lot of transport that way too.
Yeah.
And all the Germans went to Argentina. That's a different.
Everyone's mixing with each other and having babies and looking different. You know.
They're having a mix.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't have the Micmac Mexicans without the
Micmac
Spanish and
the
original Indians.
The natives.
The
original Indians. The goddamn Indians from India came over.
Then we got Indian.
I wonder what that is. Like if the Indians from India came over to Mexico.
Really
I wonder if
a lot of people.
I wonder if there are any Indians in Mexico.
There's probably some. I don't know. I've never seen one.
Like from India in Mexico.
Like living there?
Yeah, like living in Mexico.
There's got to be some.
Really?
I just sheer numbers game.
Maybe in Cancun.
I don't think.
Like in central Mexico.
Maybe I have no clue. I don't know if there's like a subculture of Indians.
You think that they like leave India and they're like, let me go to another third world country and try to survive?
I mean, they're not really third world.
Oh, they're not first.
Oh yeah, they're not first or last. Yeah. I guess that's all I know. So, I mean, there's some extreme poverty, and then there's just like really developed, well-off people. Also.
I'm sure that in Mexico City, there's a lot of monopolies of tyranny over there, but
it's the same, in many countries.
But I don't know if there's Indian food being served.
I've never heard that.
Like Indian food.
Like other Indian restaurants in Mexico.
Yeah,
I wonder if they ever had like a problem with each other.
Like the fact that they
if somebody set up they had their taco cart on the street, and then this Indian guy came up and he was making curry.
Yeah.
On the same block.
Would that be a problem?
Would there be a problem? Or would it be like, hey, we're serving different food, it's all good, no one's going to eat your vindaloo. Yeah. Because this is Mexico. And get out of here. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder, you don't hear about that much.
Reverse racism. I just like to use terms for no reason.
I don't think that would be reverse racism. No. I think that would just be racism.
It just sounds good. Reverse osmosis. Anything backwards.
Anything reverse is better.
Yeah. Maybe we should look at the stats sometime.
Like the brackets.
Well, if the Indians came over, the bracket would be uneven and throw the whole thing off. So we
might not be able to build the big stadium.
We probably called them up and said, "Don't let any Indians in. It's gonna screw up the whole bracket."
I'm gonna make a sports team called the Indians. It's literally gonna be.
It's already been done.
It's already but it's gonna be the Indians.
Like India. Yeah.
And then they're gonna play each other.
Jesus.
It's gonna be.
Oh God. Oh, so there was this reminds me of something I saw online.
What?
There was a article posted about the Americanization of yoga. Yeah. And I'm sure there's several on the internet. But it was written by an Indian woman, and she got pretty gnar. Yeah. I couldn't even read the whole thing. Like,
really?
Yeah, like
you got scared.
Well, like, she was upset, and I just didn't really care that much. Well, it was like she was just like tearing it.
She was going
like,
off.
She's basically like, it was reverse racism. It was like fucking white people trying to do yoga.
Yeah,
that's some bullshit.
Yeah,
she didn't really start off that way. She started off like normal, and then like halfway through the article,
she just went off.
It was like it got intense, and you know what?
Well, she said that they're turning into McDonald's. Like they're turning my religion into
yeah.
McDonald's.
Like she just basically she was trying to keep a filter on it, and then she just took it off.
She just went off. She went like, yeah, it's supposed to be like this religious exercise, but now it's like a
exercise
it's like a
for people that are fake.
It's like an exercise class for people that want to go to 24-hour gym.
Rich people, white people.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable. It's accessible to the masses. It's like if you have money and you want to like find God, then that's great. Mm-hmm. It's just like another Christian church in some ways. You know, I'm at the Catholic Church, like with the indulgences and buying away your sins.
Well, you can buy it. Yeah, you can buy it.
Well, it's this extreme example, but that like she was basically saying it's like, you know, this whole culture of like the thing when you go into a yoga class, because I've obviously done a lot of yoga,
right?
And they're like, you know, just relax and let everything fall away and all the things that are bothering you and the stresses and blah blah blah. So she was like saying like, okay, like this wealthy like stay-at-home mom, like who's like has nothing better to do than like spend $30 on a yoga class on a Tuesday, is like really needs help like letting go of her stresses. Yeah, which I don't fully agree with because everyone has things that stress them out.
I think I understand because I've had the same grievances with the gentrification of yoga. It's just somehow it's gone from a specific technique in Eastern culture to, you know, get kind of relaxed and ready for, you know, being open to life. That's all you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be able to be open to have a good life.
Well, relax and be present.
Be present and be aware and let, you know, everything come to you. And somehow they've taken that and all the scriptures and everything and just thrown that in the trash, and they said, can I get fit doing this?
Yeah, like, I mean, and the thing is that I'm not sure that people that are giving yoga classes in America are saying that it's exactly the same as how it was originally practiced in India. You know, like... Yeah. Like, I see it as... It's about what your intention is. If your intention is to practice it as it was originally practiced, then you're going to seek that out and find that on your own. Right. And you're going to seek out a teacher that's going to teach you that. But if your intention is to, like, have a great ass and, like, a washboard stomach, then you're going to go and get that result. And that's fine. You might think that you're spiritual or better than somebody and this, that, and the other thing, but you'd be gravely mistaken probably, you know. So I never got angry about it. I knew it's not what it originally was, and it never can be here because we're so far removed. We don't know anything largely about Indian culture. We've never been exposed to it. Yeah, like us trying to understand. Like I read the original text and I read stuff about it and I understand like little tidbits of it because I've never been there. Yeah. I didn't have family that was raised, like I've never been immersed. You have to be immersed.
Well, this all goes back to India.
Exactly. Well, that's what the whole...
I'm gonna have an Indian team and they're all gonna do yoga.
Well, you gotta be
the original.
Like, you know, it's like saying that nothing can ever like evolve and change or just change. Like, yoga has changed since it's come here, and it can't be the same. How could it be the same? It's in America, in big cities where people have money.
It's in an environment of capitalism. Right. And I think that's inherently
different. And that's
different.
The thing is, it's not monks saying, "Come here and do it for free, and we'll feed you rice, and you can clean the floor and sleep here."
Well, it's kind of like they're doing it like the Karate Kid. And we're doing it like Ronald McDonald.
Sorry, Donald Trump.
Yeah, like Donald Trump does yoga.
I don't know. Like, so the conflict is a spiritual practice where you make money.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny now that I just said that.
Yeah.
It's like a spiritual practice where the teachers make money.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really... I guess now that I said it doesn't make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think it's forever changed, and it's not going to be what it originally was intended to be.
Well, I think in America it can't be that just because everyone has so much freedom to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
There'll never be a homogenous mass that will like bring it to what it like in India everyone grew up with how it was,
right?
And for us to understand that all at once, even though America is just a shit show of different cultures, it's like not even.
But I wonder if that's really even the issue. Like, don't you think there's people that live in India that are charging money to teach people?
I think that they're the inherent knowledge of that being wrong, as opposed to just the general ignorance. If we would never know if it was wrong.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
It
doesn't really matter though.
Some people know some shit's like we're a Christian nation of some sort, and we know what's Christian and we know what's not Christian. Even if we do fucked up shit, we know it's wrong. But like someone from India would not know if something was Christian or not. They'd just be like, well, I saw this on TV, I guess this is cool. Like, to be outside of the...
I think it's interesting that it's like it's part of a religious practice, but not everyone who's that religion practices it.
Well, because it's only a technique. Like, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, like there's millions of
Hindus
who never do yoga.
Yeah, because they're like, I don't need it. Like,
they don't want to do it.
I could go into nirvana. I don't have to sit there in silence. Like, I'm chill. I'm living present in my own life.
Well, they could say whatever they want, but they just don't want to do it.
Yeah, they don't feel...
No one's required to do anything.
They don't feel like it's... Yeah, no one's required to do it.
It's like how we don't have to go to church.
Yeah, we don't have to go to church, but it's better if you want to feel more connected to do it. That's how it should be, right?
Right.
If you want to
that's the intent of it.
If you want to feel connected to yourself or whatever, blah, blah, blah. If you want to do it, right?
Whatever works. So Americans are just using something that was developed originally in another place to get the same intent of whatever church might provide.
But they're turning it into like a bumper sticker where it's like, this is the one-stop shop,
Well, what religion doesn't do that in some sense? I
think that there's so many complex overtones to the whole scenario that we're not aware of. Like, even talking about Christianity is pretty complicated.
There's so many different things going on.
There's so many different undertones and things that happen, if you read the Old Testament.
And we all interpret it differently. And, like, the original deal was obviously a little misunderstood.
Right. But, just the way... It's just like if your child grew up in India, he would have an understanding more complex about... I think yoga and meditation than someone that went to Maricosta would.
Yeah. I think it can be learned.
Well, everything...
I don't think it's less authentic.
Everything is learned, but it's just like, are you learning it from a source that hasn't... Because what we've discussed, the translations of the Bible have been through so many languages. Well, just imagine the original language moved across an entire nation, told different times to different people. How authentic is the version you're hearing? Like in America.
It was written in a book and translated. It should be just as authentic. I mean,
well, if you read the book yourself, but if you were just at a yoga class where someone's telling you what the book says,
right?
Well,
it's like anything. Some people know what they're talking about, and many don't.
That's the thing, is if you have someone like literally like a shaman from India come over.
Right. And the thing is that anybody can say anything. Like, at the end of the day, what I've learned is, like, here's what's interesting is, like, you go to these yoga classes, and then they're, mainly women teachers, right?
Yeah. And it's like horse things. Like, all women love horses.
I don't know, but it's a women thing, right?
I think it's women thing because they don't like to go to the gym, and they like want to like do something.
A lot of women like to go to the gym.
Well, they like to go
because it's easier for them because they're flexible. That's the real reason. Okay.
spilled the beans.
And because men are not comfortable doing
Feminine.
something that they would think would be feminine. And that's the real reason.
Right. Well, it's very... First of all, the entirety of yoga is very hard for Western minds to wrap your head around. Do nothing, and then do that less. Like, be present doing nothing.
What you're doing...
You're doing the opposite.
A lot of physical exercise.
You're doing the
difficult things.
You're doing the opposite of what your mind is telling you're doing. Like, you're supposed... It's like the... What is it? The Tao Te Ching. Like, you're supposed to do everything and nothing at the same time. And for someone to understand that, someone that's grew up in the Western society where...
Well... I think that's what's missed in the classes out here is that there's so much focus on doing the pose right that you're trying to reach a goal of like perfect form when it's really supposed to be like you're just doing a series of movements that's meditative.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. It's less like the Karate Kid and more like like we're trying. It's more like acrobatics and less like the Karate Kid, like the kind of that she and it's.
Well, where I was going with the women thing is that what I'm saying is there are these people that like it's like anything, they idolize these teachers,
right?
And they think that because they're so great at yoga and they are really good at teaching yoga,
right?
That they are like
they're good at teaching gymnastics.
Well, they're teaching a series of movements.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's really what they're teaching.
Okay.
And it's guiding people on how to do that series successfully.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but people then interpret that as, well, this person is such a great, like, spiritual person because of what they're doing.
They can...
Because they really present themselves, they say these beautiful things, they'll read poetry, they'll say, like, inspirational things, and it makes you feel really good, and they do the class really, really well.
No.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that they live a life that they're depicting in the class.
Well, they go to Starbucks and they get their non-disposable cups, and they
they
live their life in California.
Yes, and they spend money.
Yeah, they drive their car and they do.
Yeah,
whatever.
and they have relationship problems. They have psychological problems. Yeah. They have their normal people. They have problems. They're not enlightened spiritual masters.
They're not like a monk who lives on nothing and like literally has rice every morning and like
sacrificing everything. And it's all about like the real deal.
But even the old Catholicism is like that, where you give up everything. You're a nun or you're a priest and you don't have a wife and you don't have anybody. It's very simple. It's all in.
And you're devoted to God.
I don't believe in any of this Christianity where you have a wife and it's like you pretty much live your life except you tell people what to do. I don't understand how it's different from being a CEO.
Well, here's the thing. I agree with that in some ways. But the thing is, it's difficult. Is I used to be really impressed by those people that were like spiritual sages and did their thing. But the thing is that I came to realize it's hard to like learn something from them because unless you're gonna do that, you can't emulate it. I mean. Well, those people don't live in the world the same way that the normal person in society lives. So you could look at
trying to like
setting an example.
Are you trying to like talk about like a monk, or are you talking about someone that's like Christian, that pastor that has a wife and a kid, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, like if you compared the two. So like the monk, I could learn a lot from the monk.
Yeah.
But I couldn't put it into practice unless I was going to be a monk.
Well, you could put it into practice on charity and like complete obedience to one thing and like you can understand the difference between saying you're charitable and seeing the true definition of charity.
There's an immense amount to live, but if you want to model your life after a successful person...
You can't literally... it's like a math problem. Like, you can't do the exact formula he has unless you want to live the exact same life.
Exactly.
But you can understand the difference between charity from a guy that has a wife and a kid, his amount of charity, as opposed to someone that gave up everything to give everyone everything. Like, you can understand the mass amount of charity that is. Like,
well, what if somebody amassed great wealth and then gave up more?
Well, that's the thing.
It's like how do you measure it?
But that's not real charity. Well, it's charity in that you're giving it away, but how you got it is actually very very violent. Like, no one amasses wealth with non-violence.
It's not necessarily violent.
Yeah, you completely crush the competition. You basically bought and sold people's lives, and they go into poverty because you want everything.
Is that the way everyone makes money?
That's pretty much like if we go through the history of Western civilization.
Like if I sell paper clips, am I like destroying lives?
Well, if you sold paper clips and then you became the biggest
You're
vendor
saying there's no competition.
If you become the biggest vendor of paper clips, then you're specifically trying to drive people out of business.
I understand what you mean. You're talking about capitalism again and how it's the root of all evil.
Right.
It's not necessarily true, but anyway.
But it's money is the root of all evil. But that's the thing that all religious people know.
But the facts are this.
Okay.
Me and you, anybody we know, no one's trying to be a monk right now.
Right.
No one that we hang out with.
Yeah, in the Western world, yeah.
I'm not saying. There's probably some people in the Western world trying to be monks, actually.
Okay.
There are, for sure.
Well, maybe in
But what I'm saying is your average person. So, say you want to live a normal life, but you're trying to, like, do stuff right, and you're looking for a model of how to do that.
Right.
You're better off with the preacher because he's the one who's having sex with women and having kids and having a job. He's living a real life where he's participating in society. So you may be able to learn something that you could practically apply by listening to that person.
I don't know. Well, it depends what you want.
Exactly.
Like, that's the thing.
Exactly.
That's the thing. It's like you're not if you want to live, if you have no idea how to live your life, like you have zero idea, then maybe you should follow a pastor. Because they live a westernized life.
Well, they participate in society.
You could follow. But if you know how to live you know how to live, and you have half a brain, you can understand how to function in society and still understand the true definition of these. Like, it's like a philosophical principle. I know the true definition of triangle. If I ever draw a triangle in real life, it will never be a true triangle because I can never get straight enough. Like, so when I look at a monk or like a priest that's given up everything, I can understand that if I become the most charitable rich person ever, I can never be as good as he is. Like, he is like the truest, like the Dalai Lama, like lives on nothing, and like Socrates, he is so like.
Well, he doesn't require anything.
He doesn't require, and that's the thing we're missing is in a society you get stuff you get it because you want it. You don't need it. You don't need these things. You get it because you're obsessed.
You also make a decision of stuff that you're not going to do. Like when you devote your life to God in almost every religion, you do not get married. You do not have sexual relations with a woman.
Except when you're a pastor.
What I'm saying,
how do we describe? But like 60% of America is Christian, not Catholic, and it's weird.
But I'm saying it's not necessarily a problem. But everyone who would be leading those people is not participating in the same kind of life they are. It's two different worlds.
Well, there's definitely
there's the spiritual path. 100%. What you're saying is like the real deal.
Yeah.
And they're telling people how to be spiritual, but they don't have sex, so they don't know what it's like. And they don't have those problems.
They don't.
It's not a part of their life.
They don't.
No, they don't need it. They choose. They just choose not to do it.
They choose to be abstinent of all things. They choose all the desires that they think. The problem is in the Catholic book there's original sin, and they're trying to be abstinent of all sins.
Right. It's very different.
It's very in Hindu. It's probably different in other places, but the same denomination is true about all of them. Is that money is evil. So money is evil, and that's why
we could have a philosophical conversation for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is if you want to be a virtuoso guitar player and you're trying to learn how to be a virtuoso, it's like what you want to do. We said you're not going to go study Buddhism necessarily to be a good guitar player.
Well,
if you want to be a successful father, you're not going to go to the Dalai Lama and say, how do I become a father?
That's not exactly true. Like, if I went to a monk and I said, how do I be a good guitar player? And he said, do the same thing over and over and over again. And then that's it. It's like, whenever I give you that book, The Art of Archery. It's just do the same thing forever. Like, it's literally that.
Even though he hasn't done it, that's it.
It's the same principle for all things that man has done. Like, anything that you could do, it's the same principle, building blocks. Like, if you want to be an engineer, just do the same math over and over and over until you completely understand things that you would never understand.
Well, so what if you
before.
go to a monk and say, how do you have a successful relationship with a wife?
You basically, you better yourself over and over and over. You make positive reinforcements. You do less negative things over and over and over until you don't do negative things anymore. You know, it's the same
right, but he
premise
I know,
behind.
But he couldn't necessarily.
What's
give you an
who's
example.
the Chinese philosopher? What's his name? Everyone always quotes him.
Lao Tzu?
No, the maid, like, huge. Confucius. Like, yeah, everyone always quotes Confucius, and he says the same things that every monk will say to you, you know. If you ask him how to, like, become a better lover, he'll tell you the same thing, you know. Do the same thing, all the things you think are right over and over and over.
I think they can give you instruction, but they can't speak from experience. That's the difference.
I think experience is a fallacy, though. It's you do everything your own way. So one can never speak from experience because your life is different from mine. So experience is a fallacy of knowledge, because your experience is different from mine at all points in time. You're different than me. So I can only tell you the true version, which I can never be and you could never be. So I can only tell you about that, and then both of us try to get to it. So
there's no reason to teach anything. Can't
no,
be taught.
You don't teach from experience. You teach from a technique that you want to get to. See, we both want to shoot an arrow, you know, and I am trying every day, and I might hit the bullseye every time, but I am still trying every day, just like you are. You might not be even hit the damn target, but I am trying every day.
So if you want to know how to do a yoga handstand, you go to the monk and you say, just keep doing it. And so you don't need to go to yoga class.
Well,
what I'm trying to say is you need both.
Experience expediates, obviously, if you...
And getting instructed on how to do something is helpful.
Right, yeah. So, like, going to class is helpful. Going to school is helpful. But if someone was telling you, how do I fall in love, it's like, I can only tell you the premise.
Like the absolute...
Yeah, the absolute. I can't tell you how you're going to fall in love.
Right.
You want me to take you through your life,
right.
You know, like every day, like
right.
You to copy me. Like, see, that's the thing. That's what we're losing in yoga classes, is we're teaching you every day. Like, this is the step every day, when we should just be, here's the arrow, here's the bow, practice every day yourself until you feel, you know, like you're doing it. You know,
right.
Because you'll know, like it
becomes a real social hour. Those things,
you know?
Like anything. It's like why people go to church just so they can talk about each other's kids.
Right? Yeah. So
we got deep.
Yeah, we turned this around.
We went down the fucking K-hole.
We went down. All right, well, let's wrap this up. That was pretty.
It's been a hot one. We've been on the mic for a while. I'm about to fucking pass out.